10 has-been actresses with the biggest egos and 10 humble sweethearts. Here are 10 has-been actresses that still have huge egos, and others that are humble and kind. Some people watch certain actresses exert their craft when they grow up in their favorite movies and TV shows, and want to emulate these stars. They want the fame and the fortune. They want to grow up, star in big movies, and conquer Hollywood. Many have realized their dreams and have found themselves on the movie scene. That's step number 1. But there's a whole lot of stairs in the movie industry. They all have to be climbed in order to reach the top. A lot of actors and actresses get halfway then falter. They rest on their laurels, they become complacent, and their careers become stagnant. Other actresses come through the ranks and surpass them in the popularity stakes. Suddenly these actresses are no longer being cast. Either that or they're only getting certain roles, are no longer getting a look in the big movies. Hollywood's essentially cast them aside. The fans have forgotten about them. It must be tough to take for these has-been actresses. Some can console themselves, put things in perspective by thinking that's just the way Tinsel Town operates. But others only have themselves to blame. They may have done things here and there that have rubbed people up the wrong way. They may not have endeared themselves to the right people. Others though, despite falling down the pecking order, have remained humble. They don't have big egos and haven't become bitter, even despite their faltering careers. They're humble sweethearts. These are 10 has-been actresses with big egos, and 10 humble sweethearts. 1. Humble superstar, Kathryn Parsons. Kathryn Parsons has been a has-been actress for quite some time, for decades. In fact, her two major successes in Tinsel Town came way back in the 90s. She achieved fame for starring in Major Pain. But by and large, people know Kathryn for her role as Will's cousin in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Since those days Kathryn hasn't really done anything of note in Tinsel Town. Unlike her co-star who's already featured in the other section of this list, Kathryn has dealt with life after that show pretty well. She's done her own thing, and is content to plow on and keep doing things her own way. Those of you who watched The Fresh Prince will be able to recall Kathryn's character in the show. Hilary Banks was a spoiled princess who at times could be rather obnoxious. Hilary definitely had a big ego. Kathryn isn't anything like that character in real life. In fact, she's quite the opposite. She doesn't have her head up in the clouds. She's very personable, unassuming, and just kind and bubbly. That's what CBS News reported when someone went to interview her. They were pleasantly surprised by her humble demeanor. Her family's certainly helped to keep her humble, as half the people she surrounds herself with. 2. Big ego, Camila Mendes. Camila Mendes is a 31-year-old American actress. Despite being pretty young, she's already considered a has-been. In actual fact, many critics would say she was never a big name to begin with. Her career was steadily rising, but she's a mediocre star at best. Now she dropped off the radar. It seems as if Hollywood has forgotten about her. She's not one to make a lot of noise on or off screen. So, although she's not being cast, she's not an attention grabber, and doesn't try and make the headlines by doing other things. There are numerous reasons as to why Camila is considered a has-been. One big reason is her attitude. She's considered to have an almighty ego. This has led to her stifling her own career. For example, as Nicki Swift have reported, she's extremely picky about the films she chooses. Someone in her position just can't afford to do that. Perhaps it's a case of her feeling that she's too good for certain movies. Camila just needs to bite the bullet, throw herself into any project that comes her way. Camila also has bad blood with Taylor Swift. They've been feuding for a pretty long time, since Camila began a relationship with Joe Jonas. Some of the catty comments have led to people labeling Camila as arrogant and an egocentric. 3. Humble superstar, Liv Tyler. Liv Tyler has led one amazing, event-filled life. There have been plenty of ups and downs, but Liv remained strong. She's happy to stay in the limelight, is content to keep doing what she's doing. It's a testimony to her desire to achieve even more success as an actress. She had a few iconic roles, but she hasn't yet landed the one that's propelled her through the ranks of Tinsel Town. Liv grew up in a celebrity household. In case you weren't aware, focus on her surname for a second. Ring any bells? She's the daughter of the lead singer of Aerosmith, Steven Tyler. Her mom's also a celebrity, a fashion model and singer. Growing up with parents like these, it wouldn't come as a surprise if Liv grew up to have a massive ego. But that hasn't been the case. There are no airs and graces about Liv. What you see is what you get. And what is there is a humble superstar. Just watch her give interviews and talk to people. Her humility comes across. Plenty of people and publications have reported it. For example, Teen Vogue said, after having a sit-down interview with her, that she's humble and gracious. Liv hasn't let the pressures of modern-day celebrity life get to her. She's learned transcendental meditation just to be able to deal with things and keep her grounded. It's certainly helped her remain humble. 4th. Big Ego, Emma Roberts. Emma Roberts is one of the youngest people on this list at the age of 27. Sure, she had plenty of successes over the years, but she's already a has-been. People still make a lot of noise about her, but that's mainly due to the wrong reasons. Emma is a headstrong woman. She's no stranger to controversy. For example, she was arrested in 2012 for domestic violence against her boyfriend at the time, actor Evan Peters. As the Daily Mail reported, Emma actually left him in a bad state. The two are still together, though. They've said it was an unfortunate incident though and that they're trying to move past it. They got engaged in 2014. That incident shows that Emma's got a bit of a temper. But there have also been reports of her being arrogant, having a massive ego, and that's led to her feuding with Lea Michele. Okay, so Michelle's another has been with a massive ego. When two women with two big egos comes against each other, they butt heads. Life and Style reported that the two were feuding on the sets of Scream Queens. The magazine said one thing they have in common is that they're massive divas. 5. Humble superstar, Jennifer Garner. Jennifer Garner has starred in some big movies over the years. She's gained plenty of plaudits for her role in Alias, for example, and 13 Going on 30. But those were all some time ago. She's living on the reputation she gained during that period. Jennifer is still very much an active part of the industry. However, she hasn't been able to replicate that success. She prefers to stay humble, not just personality-wise, but with a humble existence, remain in the background. Jennifer has long been regarded to be one of the nicest people in Hollywood. No one's ever had a bad word to say about her. Those who have the pleasure of meeting her are often gushing in their praise for the actress. As reported by People, the source and co-workers from her film The Tribes of Followers said, "Jen is literally the sweetest and most humble celebrity I've ever worked with. She always comes to the set with a smile and makes a point to say hi to everyone, whether it be a director or food service worker or set assistant, most of which go completely ignored by other actors. She treats everyone the same, which is rare in the egotistical world of celebrities." 6. Big Ego, Rooney Mara. Rooney Mara is a relatively young actress. She tasted a decent amount of success over the years, but her career simmered down of late. Her job offers may have slowed down, but that certainly doesn't mean she vanished from the limelight. She's still very much the talk of the town. That's in large part due to her general attitude. Rooney has a habit of rubbing people up the wrong way. As Data Lounge reported, Rooney's been on an alienation campaign ever since she first came into the limelight. The Mirror have labeled Rooney as being insufferable. That's because of statements like this one. You kind of learn to self-sabotage with things you don't want to get. Sometimes you don't want to get something but you do a really good job and you get in anyway. That's kind of what happened with A Nightmare on Elm Street. I didn't even really want it. And then I went in to audition and I was like, I definitely got that. She's also said she worked hard because she hard up for a bit of cash. That's coming from someone who's an NFL heiress. Plenty attribute her attitude and huge ego to her very privileged upbringing. 7. Humble. Camila Mendes. 31-year-old Camila is one of the most loved people in Hollywood. Firstly, she's adored by the masses due to her performances as an actress. But if you're rating her based on her successes, there's shameless, and not much else to write home about. But that doesn't matter to any Rossum fans. Although we don't see as much of her as we like to, when we do any small smiles and has a bright personality. That's why people love her. There's no massive ego with Camila. She's incredibly down to earth, and is very comfortable in her own skin. As Cosmopolitan reported, there are no thrills with Camila. What you see is what you get. And what you get is a humble sweetheart. Another reason as to why Camila is so humble is her spirituality. You don't really need Camila to tell you that she's spiritual. It comes across in her interviews. But yes, Camila has described herself as a very spiritual person. It's something that's helped her to keep her feet firmly on the ground. Camila's spiritual, and she seems almost that-like. It's part of her appeal. That's why she's acquired such a massive level of popularity. 8. Big ego. Anna Kendrick. It's hard to get our heads around the fact that Anna Kendrick is 32. A lot of people still see her as the college girl in those Pitch Perfect movies. Those movies are essentially why Anna is famous. Pitch Perfect 3 was released last year. Because that was the final movie in the series, Anna is already being called a has-been actress. She's going to struggle to stay relevant. One way she's been staying on people's minds is by posting often on social media activity. Anna is a social media aficionado. She knows how to market herself, and knows how to get herself out there. She's certainly not the shy and retiring type. But some of her antics and her posts have angered some people. They've led people to say that she has a big ego. At times it's run wild and became out of control. But you can read her comments and be the judge of that yourself. Other sources on movie sets, for example, have revealed that Anna has a bit of an ego, and is a tad arrogant. For example, in 2015 MS revealed the source had said Anna's become ridiculously arrogant and demanding. As reported by The Atlantic, journalists have a tendency to find Anna awkward and unfriendly, and think that she got an inflated ego. 9. Humble sweetheart. Jada Pinkett Smith. A lot of people would say that Jada Pinkett Smith is only famous because of her spouse. Will Smith is one of the most famous actors on the planet. He's also one of the humblest guys around. Jada is a very successful actress in her own right. Although as the years have rolled by, she's simmered down from the acting front. Not that it matters to Jada. She's involved in other things, and has various ventures on the side. Jada is a headstrong woman. At times this could be misconstrued as cockiness, arrogance. But she's actually very humble. Her huggies down-to-earth nature has rubbed off on her. But she's also humble because of her own experiences. As Metro reported, Jada's a woman of humility. That's because her past is still fresh in her mind. She says she grew up in a war zone and has battled with various addictions and vices over the years. There was a possibility that I wouldn't make it past 21. That was the reality, she told ABC. All of these experiences have made her humble. She makes no bones about working hard for what she got. But she doesn't brag and is extremely appreciative of everything that's come her way. 10. Big ego. Blake Lively. Blake Lively is still a big name in Hollywood. but she's big because of her reputation. She's done some great work in the past. She's also incredibly beautiful. Add to that the fact that she's married to Ryan Reynolds, and she's still an actress on everyone's minds. But if we're judging her solely on her movies, she's definitely a has-been. Blake's been pretty quiet of late. A large part of that is because she's been concentrating on family life. To us outsiders looking in, Blake seems like a real sweetheart. A lot of you probably read her name and thought I'd included her in the wrong section. She does seem like a humble sweetheart. She hasn't really done anything to make us think she has a big ego. But when the actress herself said she has a big ego, that's enough for us to include her on this list. As reported by Business Insider, Blake has said she has control issues and a rather big ego. That's why she can't accept help from others. For example, she won't let people style her or do her makeup. Blake just has to do it all herself. What she does works best. That's honesty right there.